Welcome to episode 3 of the Noble Character Crafts podcast. My name is Amy, and you can find me online on Instagram and Etsy at Noble Character Crafts, and you can also find me on Ravelry at Noble Character. I also have a group for this podcast on Ravelry under Noble Character Crafts podcast, and you can find in that group all of the show notes for this episode and previous episodes, as well as any threads that there might be for giveaways or CALs going on. So thank you so much for joining me. Today is Monday, October 30th, 2017, and I am coming to you from eastern Nebraska, where I live on a farm with my husband and our 5 children. This is a podcast all about my life as a knitter, a crocheter, and a hand dyer of yarn. Thank you so much. If you are joining me for the first time, welcome. And if you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. I truly appreciate it. I am drinking today a maple decaf cafe latte that I made just with really strong coffee and a little bit of milk that I warm up, and then I use my little frother thing and I froth it, because for some reason when you add frothy milk to coffee, it all of a sudden tastes more delicious, don't you think? I do. And then just like a splash of maple syrup. And it's delicious. It's one of my favorite warm drinks to have in all year round, but especially now that it has turned cooler. So I hope you will grab something to drink as well and join me with your knitting or whatever craft you might be working on. Okay, I am going to start off with some finished objects. The first one I am wearing, and I love it so much. I am so happy with this shawl. This is the Elena Half Hap by Lavish Designs. Hi Suzanne, if you're watching. The designer of this shawl has been in contact with me a few times on Instagram, and it's been such a pleasure to get to interact with her a little bit. So anyway, this shawl is very large. There are 2 sizes, and I made the larger of the 2. It is made using worsted weight yarn, and a size 7 needle is what the pattern called for, and that's what I used. So I guess I'll take it off so you can see it in its entirety. It is lovely. Okay, so the original pattern only calls for you to use 3 colors, and I used 5. So the original pattern calls for you to use this same color in these lighter stripes as well. And then it also calls for you to use the darker color all the way to the end. But I had some of my stash that I wanted to use up, and I only had 1 skein of each color, so that's why I chose to use 5 different colors. I used quite a bit of my own hand-dyed yarn, and it's in my worsted weight base, which is called Lenora. That base is called Lenora. And so this first color I used is called Joy, which is speckled with purple, pink, and blue. And then the darker tiny stripe, and then the larger portion down here is a one-of-a-kind colorway that I dyed up, which I haven't tried to redo again, but I possibly could. But it's just a deep indigo color. Then this light turquoise has navy blue specks in it, and that is called Cool Spirit. And then the one here that has pink and light indigo swirled through it is called Pleasant. And then my favorite part is this applied border, which is so wonderful. I just think it's so beautiful. And that yarn is from Allison Barnes yarn, and it's in her Prairie Mosaic colorway. And it is so lovely. I'm so happy with this. So the original pattern calls for the applied border, which starts here with this indigo color, and as I said, was supposed to be worked all the way down to the bottom. But since since I used two colors for that applied border, I had to do just the indigo section by itself as an applied border, and then I did the prairie mosaic section in a separate piece all by itself. Then I laid it out to block it to the right size, and then I seamed it together. I seamed this prairie mosaic section onto the rest of the shawl, which worked really well. It took me a while to figure out that that's what I was going to have to do, because I don't know, I'd never done an applied border before, and I wasn't sure how the construction of that was going to work out with the two different colors, but it worked out in the end, and I am so pleased with it. So since it's in worsted weight, it's super cozy, and I just love it so much. So I have worn it, over my shoulders when I've been cold, and also like this. So I just love that scallop. Oh, I think it's so cool. I blocked this very aggressively. It grew quite a bit once I blocked it, because, well, the pictures on Ravelry, I think, show that it has been blocked a lot as well, pulled a lot so that you can see the lace sections very well. And that's what I loved about it, and also I wanted it as big as possible just because I love a huge shawl. So that is my first finished object, and I am so, so happy with it. I have some more finished objects, and I love them so much. I am so happy with these. They're so adorable. Okay, so I have a friend that just had a baby girl earlier this week, and this is a baby bonnet for her little girl. I was kind of hoping to get it to her before she was born, but no, I didn't. She was born a little earlier than what we thought. Anyway, this ice cream stitch marker from Little Bitty Delights, hi Amanda, is marking where I was last time I showed you. And this is the Entre bonnet by Lisa Chemery, and her on Instagram she's known as Frogginette, but on Ravelry you can find her as Lisa Chemery, her designs. And I love the detail here around the brim. And it was obviously a very fast knit because it's so tiny. And it's also made using worsted weight. So I used my own hand-dyed yarn again in the Lenora base. And this is on my Sweetness colorway. So it has speckles of plum and pink and some rusty colors in there, browns. So it's very lightly speckled, but I think it's beautiful. I'm really, really happy with this. So I learned a few new things when I made this. It was the first time I've ever used DPNs, and used DPNs to decrease in the back here. So it's made starting from the brim and worked backwards here. So you use DPNs to decrease here, and I felt like Edward Scissorhands because you just have all these needles going every which way, and I wasn't really sure, having never used DPNs before, I wasn't sure like how many stitches do I put on each DPN, how many DPNs do I use. I'm still actually not sure about that. I probably could find that out if I researched it, but I didn't. I just did the work. Anyway, it worked out. I think I ended up using 3 DPNs for the stitches and just divided them up as evenly as possible, and then used obviously the 4th DPN to do the stitch work. But it worked out really well. I think it's just lovely. And then also I have done an I-cord before, but you also run the I-cord along the back of the neck in an applied I-cord is what it's called. And then also along the front of the brim here, you attach an applied I-cord. So it gives it a really nice finish, and that's supposed to hug it in around the baby's face as well when it's tied on. So, and this is not it. I also made these tiny little I can't stand it. They're so adorable. Isn't this a cute little set? Okay, these are the Bitty Baby Booties. And they are by Praline G on Ravelry. It's a free pattern. And these were so incredibly quick. I mean, obviously they're itty bitty, but I timed myself and it took me about a half an hour to make one booty. So about an hour to make this set. That's pretty good, I thought. So this you make up into a shape that basically looks like a T, and then kind of the top of the T is really long and then the bottom of the T is short, but that's the general shape of it. And then you fold both of the long ends down and sew them down, crisscrossing them to make this. And then you also make a buttonhole and attach a small button. So this was just one I had in my stash. I thought that was pretty. And goes through the little buttonhole. So hopefully these will work well, or at least, you know, I made the newborn size for both of these. Well, these are only come in newborn size, but I made the newborn size for this bonnet. And, you know, newborn clothes don't get to be used for very long, obviously, before the baby outgrows them. But my thought is that, which I got kind of from my daughter, I have a little girl who's 6, and the first baby bonnet that I made, I was doing a test knit for a friend, and my daughter took the baby bonnet and used it for her dolls right away. Well, she saw it and thought that it was just, of course it was for her baby dolls, right? I mean, I hadn't really thought who I was going to give it to, but anyway, so my thought is, even though the baby won't be able to wear these very long, she can maybe save them and use them for her baby dolls. It would be even fun if I could find a baby doll that was, you know, about the size of a newborn to gift them for her as well. But anyway, I am so happy with this set, and I hope they will be too. So, and these are so gratifying, you know, baby knits are so, especially with the worsted weight, so quick to work up and so adorable, so gratifying to make. All right, and then my last finished object, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4 finished objects this week. That's pretty good. But this is kind of a cheat because I only had to go from where this little bicycle progress keeper is marking. I only had to work from there down on both. I did these 2 at a time, but the history of these is that I made these socks for my son, and they ended up to be too big for him, even though he had worn them a few times, but they were not fitting him well. And so I took them back and ripped out the toe, which was right there, and then put them on the needles 2 at a time and knit the toes to fit me, because that's the only other person in our family that could fit them, because I made them for my oldest son. And obviously my husband's feet are larger than mine, so anyway, these are now for me. These were made using Patton's Croy yarn in the Singin' the Blues stripes colorway, and then the cuff and the heel is made in my yarn on my Pitter Patter base, which is a 7525 in the Choice Silver colorway. So these were a quick project to finish up, and hopefully I will get some use out of them more than my boy could. Okay, on to a half object. I finished one of my love socks. So happy with this. It seems like this, well, it really did take me a very long time to knit up this sock, but once I put in the heel, it seemed to go a lot. The rest of it went pretty quickly. So these are socks for myself again. I used my Pitter Patter base again, 7525 for the heels, cuffs, and toes in my Dignity colorway. And the body of the sock is in the same base on my Love colorway. This is just a vanilla sock. I did a 1x1 rib with only 16 rows, just because I was a little bit worried about, I'm just using a mini that I have of the Dignity, and I wanted to make sure I had enough of it. I did an Afterthought Heel, which was the first time I had done the Afterthought Heel, and I was really am happy with that. And I also love the idea of being able to rip it out if it gets a hole and make it again pretty easily. I've never had to do that before, but you know, it's nice to know that that could be an option. Rounded toe. I made these using 9-inch circulars, US 1, 2.25 millimeter, which I don't love 9-inch circulars. They're not my favorite, but I want to give them a chance. So I've been making these with them. So this Deer Progress Keeper, which is one of mine that I have made that is included with any yarn purchase from my shop, is where I was last time I podcasted. And I was also just like a couple of rows in the Afterthought Heel. I kind of did it midway through the Afterthought Heel. Anyway, so I had just done maybe, I don't know, 4 rows maybe of the Afterthought Heel. So I was able to finish that up and then finish this. And the toe just snuck up on me. I didn't think I was near the toe, but I switched over to larger needles so I could try it on. And it was already long enough, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess I need to the toe. So I did 80 rows on the leg and I think 74 rows on the foot before I started the toe. So anyway, I'm really happy that I was able to figure out the Afterthought Heel, and I think I'll use that more often. It doesn't seem very deep, though. You know, like does even this one go up a little bit higher? I guess not. I guess it's about the same as the Fish Lips Kiss heel. It just seems like it should go up higher on the heel, but anyway, the fit is pretty good. I haven't obviously really worn it very much because I just tried it on for the first one. I haven't really worn it around, but I'll be interested to see how that wears as I wear it around more often. So I'm very happy with that. And then the second one is on the needles, and I did I think when I started that one I was on a longer, I wasn't using the 9-inch circulars, I was using Magic Loop method, and then I switched over to the 9-inch circulars midway through. And on the second one I cast it on the 9-inch circulars, and I'm afraid that ribbing is a little bit, I don't know, it just seems different than this one. I know this one's on a sock blocker, but it doesn't look like it matches to me. I don't know. It seems like it's the same number of rows, but I think the gauge is off. But anyway, this sock making business is a lot of trial and error, isn't it? And I've also cast on 72 stitches, which, I wanted to match that one, but I think from now on, as I've mentioned before, I will go down to at least 68 stitches to make it a little bit more snug. These really are snug. I think I knit tighter on, they fit pretty well. I think I knit a little tighter on the 9-inch circulars, so that helps to make them a better fit too. But I'd rather do less stitches if I can, because then they'll go that much faster. Anyway, so I've just been working along on this, and this is something new. I got a few of these fun pretty stones and beads and little shells that I've made a few progress keepers and stitch markers with as well. So I'll show you on another project that I have loaded with these marking my rows. Anyway, they've been fun. I've been a little bit addicted to making a lot of these stitch markers. Anyway, I think that's all I have to say about these. They're just my vanilla knitting, my car knitting, while I read to the kids knitting, because I homeschool my children, so I read to them a lot, and so I do that work on that when I'm teaching them. Okay, I have another half object, which I love so much. This is the Snowfall Socks by Tabitha Gandee, or Tabby, of the Hey Sister podcast. And this pattern she just released last week sometime, and she has both of her sock patterns on sale until the end of October, which of course is tomorrow, but if you do catch this before then, you might be able to grab those patterns for a little bit less. This squirrel stitch marker, also one of my own stitch markers, marks where I was last time, and I was able to finish this. It's a 6-row repeat for the pattern, and I just think that that makes it go so much faster. I have heard another podcaster, somebody that I just recently discovered, who is Kate of the Hawthorne Cottage Craft. And if you haven't checked out her podcast, you really should, because she's from Ireland and I just love her accent so much. I'm kind of a little bit, in fact, I don't know what to say, like, I just really, really love Irish accents. I want to be able to speak with an Irish accent just for fun, but I can't figure it out very well, but I love listening to her so much. She just has such a neat personality. And anyway, she also mentioned that when she works patterned socks, she's able to knit them a lot quicker because, you know, you're just like, I'll just do one more repeat of the pattern before I stop. And it just helps you to, you know, keep working on it without getting bored, I think. So I thought so too, because I felt like this sock really worked up very quickly. So this is also my hand-dyed yarn on my Twinkle Toes base, which has gold stellina in it. So it's 75% superwash merino, 20% nylon, and 5% gold stellina. And this is on my enriched colorway. This pattern you cast on 64 stitches. So I went up to a US 2 needle, which is what, 2.5 millimeter, I believe. I could look, it's right here. If I can see it. Oh, and I always forget to mention that I use ChowGoo needles for everything. All of my needles will ChowGoo pretty much. I mean, I have a few that aren't, but I don't use them. Okay, yeah, 2.5 millimeter. 1.5. Did I say that right? US 1.5, 2.5 millimeter for these. The ribbing is a 3x1 ribbing, which I hadn't done before on a sock, and I really like that as well. And then heel flap and gusset. And toe is normal, you know, nothing out of the ordinary for that. But the pattern, I think, is so pretty. It reminds me of like a pine tree. Can you see that a little bit? Like this would be the branches, and this is the trunk. Can you kind of see it? So I'm really, really happy with these. I love the color. I think I'll be able to use them a lot. And I made them really tall. I repeated the pattern 14 times in the leg. So this is the longest sock I've ever made, and I think I'll really enjoy having some longer socks. And I am working on the second one. I've gotten pretty far. I think I've already gotten 12 of the repeats on the leg right now. So, does this go well with my hair? It's not quite the same shade, but close. Anyway, so, yep, going well. I really enjoy using Magic Loop. This is a 32-inch cable, which I think is perfect for doing one sock, which I think is my preferred method for sock knitting. So I'm really, really happy with these, and I will hopefully have them done pretty quickly because, like I said, they're going well, they're going really quickly. Here's a look at the colorway in the cake. Oh, and this, I always forget to tell about my project bags. Well, not always, but I did last time for one of them. This project bag is from my Creative Frenzy on Etsy. Lori Springer is the lady's name, and this is a quilted bag with Little Red Riding Hood and the wolf on it. And I forgot to show you this one, which was my love socks, are also my Creative Frenzy. This project bag has these cute little hexies quilted on it. And they're all drawstring, which I love. Okay. Now, not only did I make this bonnet and these booties, but I'm also working on something else because I just couldn't stop knitting the baby things. They're so cute and adorable. I am making a honey pie dress, which is also by Lisa Emery of she's Froganette on Instagram. I'm also making this in my Sweetness colorway on the Lenora base to match the bonnet and the booties. bit of a glare, but there's just a tiny bit left on that one. I have one more that's a little larger, but anyway, this has been such a fun project so far. There's a tangled mess of needles because I have quite a few stitches on hold on some spare needles. Okay, let's see if I can get this sorted out. Oh, had it hooked through one of the stitches, one of the needles, but it's fine. Okay, I'm sorry. This is also in another My Creative Frenzy project bag. Isn't that lovely? And here is this little cute dress so far. Isn't it cute? Okay, let's see if I can hold this up a little better to show you. This has been so fun because I've learned some more new things. This, oh my goodness, all these needles. This edging is a Picot Edging, and it is so fun. It's so ingenious how this hem works if you've never done it before. So you start with like a few rows, and then you make, well, this is a paid for pattern, so I won't tell you exactly, but you do a special stitch and then you fold it under. And anyway, just the way that, it's just amazing how it works this way. So then it gives you this cute little hem. Oh my goodness, I think it's so adorable. And then the finish is so neat, how, you know, it's just folded up in itself. Oh my goodness, I just when I was making it, I don't really read ahead with patterns very well. I just do it. And when I get to the next step, I do the next step, you know? So I wasn't really reading ahead. I hadn't read ahead on how this works. And when I was following the instructions, I was like, what in the world am I doing here? How is this working? And I did not understand how this was going to work out. And I was looking at the picture and I was like, I do not get this. How is this going to work out? And then when I flipped it around, like she tells you to, I was like, oh my goodness, it's so great. Isn't that such an adorable dress? I love it so much. It actually, this starts at newborn and it goes all the way up to 6 years old, which I mentioned my daughter is 6. So I thought maybe I'll make one for my daughter, but maybe I'll try to make it a little bit larger so she can wear it, you know, for a while. I don't know, we'll see. Okay, so anyway, it's worked from the bottom up in the round, and then you split off for the front, and then you do these neat box pleats, which I had never done before either, and you use DPNs for those as well. And then it's got some cabling along the strap there. It's glaring, sorry. There, it's a little better. So anyway, this will cross over, and I'll need to do the other strap, and then I believe that there's an I-cord seam that goes along the neckline as well, I believe. So I don't think I'll have much, you know, there's not much more time that I need to work on this before it'll be ready. So I may not have it by the next time I podcast, because I'm hoping to give it to the parents as soon as I get to see them next, which may be before I podcast next, but I'll, you know, make sure I take some pictures at least. So sweet. I just love it. Very, very happy with this. And again, another, you know, obviously quick knit because it's so tiny and it's in worsted weight. Okay, get that tangled thing back in there. Okay, and my last working project is my son's sweater. So I have worked on that a little bit. So this is the first piece that it's on hold right now. So this is the body of the sweater. And that's on hold, like I said, it's just on a cable. And this is being held in a homemade project bag that's not fancy because I am not a sewist. I can't claim to be a sewist. The rest of this project is being held in my Allison Barnes collection bag. And I am on the first sleeve. So here's all my, this looks ridiculous, doesn't it? But here's all my progress keepers marking the increase rows. I am making the Wyatt Sweater by Michelle Wong, but I am not using the double moss stitch as she calls for in the pattern. I'm just using, obviously, stockinette. And I am doing the largest size, which is for a 10-year-old. This looks so silly, but here's some more of my progress keepers that I've been making. Oh, look. Aren't they so fun? Well, they were really fun to make anyway. I love all the colors and the different shapes and how they lay on each other, and they're very, very lightweight, so that's always nice. I am just using Lion Brand Heartland yarn, which is 100% acrylic, because I don't love this yarn. I don't love working with it, but I made another sweater for one of my younger sons, and I used wool, and he hates it because it's too itchy. So anyway, that's why I switched to acrylic, because I was afraid that, well, I didn't want to make another sweater that nobody would wear because it was too itchy. And I didn't want to use really, really nice yarn because, or more expensive yarn, because the last time I made this sweater, it didn't turn out as well as I wanted it to. The fit was a little bit not where I wanted it to be. So anyway, that's why I decided to go with this. Even though it's not nearly as enjoyable to work with, but you know, I just wanted to make sure I got the shaping or the sizing right before I put a lot of money into it yarn wise. Anyway, this is on the Joshua Tree colorway, and I don't really enjoy working on this, like I said, but hopefully I'll get it done soon. I don't know. I had originally intended to make a sweater for each of my children, but this is only number 3 of 5 children, and I wanted to have them done in time for our family pictures, which will need to be taken soon, and I'm not going to be done, and so I've kind of just gotten discouraged on making them because it's like, well, I'm not going to finish anyway, so I might as well work on something that I'm enjoying more. But anyway, this is just, you know, increasing every few rounds, so it's pretty easy. So that's been another mindless project that I've been able to work on here and there. So, okay. Oh, and I just wanted to show you what I had left over from my, oh, it's going all crooked on me. From this Elena half hat, I had all of these yarns left over. Oh, little highlighter tape. I use that to mark my rows when I'm following a pattern. Anyway, so this is what I have left. And then I also think I will have some of this colorway left when I'm done with that dress. I know I will have some of it left. So I have all of this worsted weight yarn that, you know, coordinates pretty well together. And so I think I'm going to try to find a pattern for my daughter for a sweater that I can kind of stripe with these colors. So I'm excited to do that next, maybe, or who knows, but sometime. Okay, so last time I podcasted, I told you about a welcome back giveaway that I was hosting. And so I wanted to thank everyone who entered that. It was so much fun to read through the thread. I had asked everybody to answer what made you smile today, and it was really enjoyable to read through all of the comments. The winner will receive this project bag from My Creative Frenzy. It's just plain on the other side, but it has this beautiful quilting on this side and white in the inside, drawstring. And they will also be able to choose one skein of yarn from my shop in whatever colorway or base that they choose. And the winner is Linda M. Noble. Congratulations. This is Linda from England. And she said that what made her smile today was thinking about my new grandson wearing the little jumper I'm knitting for him made me smile today. So thank you so much. It was so sweet to read through all of those comments, like I said. So Linda, if you would please get in contact with me on Ravelry would probably be the best way, and send me your full name and, well, I guess I have it, but probably Linda Noble, right? But if you could send me your address, please, and I will get that. Oh, and then let me know what colorway and base you would like of my yarn. Again, you can find that on my Etsy shop, which is Noble Character Crafts. and let me know what you would like, and I will get that mailed off to you as soon as possible. So congratulations. And then also I mentioned last time that I am going to be co-hosting a Cal along with Kay, hi Kay, of the Crazy Sock Lady podcast. I'm super excited for us to start our cable Cal, which will start on November 1st and run through February 1st. So you have plenty of time to get a sweater done or multiple projects. I have several projects that I am excited to start. So please, I will open up a thread for both a chatter thread and a finished objects thread, and Kay will too. And so you can enter that on both of our Ravelry groups and join in the fun. I'm so excited to be hosting that Cal with her, co-hosting that Cal with her. So the last thing I just wanted to show you was another shawl combo. Every week I've been showing a combination of 3 skeins that would make a nice shawl combination from my colorways in my shop. And so this one we started harvesting this last week. My husband farms, and so he just finished up all the soybeans, got all of those picked yesterday, and or maybe the day before yesterday, and then started on corn yesterday. So anyway, so we're in full harvest mode, and so I grabbed a set that has that harvest theme going. This middle skein is actually called Harvest, and it has beautiful speckling of green, gold, brown, and deep orange, and then goes well with this semi-solid, which is called Fine Gold. And, oh, I guess I already showed you this one because this is the colorway I'm using for my socks. This is the enriched colorway. These are all on my Pitter Patter base. The 75-25. But don't they look nice together? That would be a fun combo, wouldn't it? So, anyway, like I mentioned last time, I don't do shop updates. I just have my yarn available all the time. In all of my colorways, so and all of my bases. So instead of showing you a shop update, I'll just show you different colorways every time, or a different combo of colorways every time. I think I'll try to anyway. I was thinking about that this week, and I thought, I suppose if you do like an update, then maybe customers will think, oh, I have to go grab it now. You know, maybe there's more of a frenzy to purchase, but I don't know. I just don't want to do that. I want to just have everything available at all times, because I just think it would be nicer for customers to be able to pick whatever they want. So that's what I do. Everybody, to each their own, right? So that's what works for me. Anyway, the weather has turned so much cooler lately. It's gotten down to freezing several times, and we've had lots of frosty mornings, which has been wonderful. Had to switch out all of the kids' clothes. That is a feat. Oh my goodness. That is such a feat to go through all of the clothes and switch out summer to winter and figure out what size is everybody now and what's going to fit them and what do I need to buy. And I actually have way too many clothes for my younger boys, because I have 2 older boys that are 9 and almost 8. And then I have my 6-year-old girl. And then I have 2 younger boys that are 5 and 4. So I have just a plethora of clothes for my younger boys, because they've gotten hand-me-downs from my older boys, as well as, you know, just along the line, people know we have lots of kids, so they give us lots of clothes, which I love, of course, but I have actually too many clothes for my youngest boys. But I usually need to buy more clothes for my daughter and for my older boys. Anyway, so I got all of that switched out. And anyway, like I said, we're in full harvest mode, so my husband's been busy with that. It's been going well. And anyway, we've just been enjoying the fall weather. My kids and I made a whole list of things that we wanted to do this fall, and we've gotten almost everything done on it. The things that we have left are to make a bonfire and to make pine cone bird feeders. So that would be fun to do soon. It seems like there was one other thing. We put up a tent last week. That was one of the things on their list. Well, they wanted to go camping. They hadn't actually ever gone camping all night before in a tent, and I kind of figured they wouldn't make it, and they didn't. They made it until like 11:30, and then it was pretty cool out that night. So I had them layered in like a couple of layers of pants and like 3 or 4 layers of, long sleeve shirts and sweatshirts and coats and hats and gloves. So they were really well bundled up, and tons of blankets. But I had I wasn't going to sleep out in the tent. I had the tent right outside my bedroom window. I wasn't going to attempt that because I knew that wasn't going to work for me. I cannot sleep. I can only sleep in my bed. Anyway, so I had the window open in our bedroom so I could hear what they were doing. And they were talking, of course, until 11:30. My daughter had fallen asleep, and then it was only the 3 older ones that were out there. The younger 2 were like, no way, I'm not staying out here. Anyway, so my daughter started crying at 11:30, and so I went out there and, I'm scared, Mommy. I said, okay, come on in. And then, the boys didn't want to stay out there by themselves either, so everybody came in. So anyway, but it was a good experience. So anyway, we've been having fun doing we made an apple pie, or a pumpkin pie, I guess, and went apple picking, and what else was on the list? Jumping in a pile of leaves. They've done that. Went for a hayrack ride. So anyway, we've done lots of fun things like that. So we'll just continue to enjoy our fall, and I hope you all enjoy your fall as well. And thank you so much for joining me. If you've liked this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you would like to subscribe, I would really appreciate that as well. Thank you so much for joining me. Bye.